Where are the slave ships? Where are the slave ships? Where are all of the slave ships? We talk about the Middle Passage. We talk about the diaspora. Where are the slave ships? You got a better chance of finding a dinosaur fossil than you do finding a slave ship. They can show you the whips. They can show you the chains. They can show you the plantations, but they can't show you those slave ships. Where are the slave ships? Where are they? Where are all the slave ships? Where are they? They can tell you when the first one landed. They can tell you when the last one landed, but they can't really tell you about everything in between. Where are the slave ships? Now, some of you smart and educated people are going to tell me at the bottom of the Atlantic Ocean. Well, if that's the case, then why don't they go down there like they do with every other ship and find them? Now, some of you smart folks are going to say, well, the ships are at the bottom of the Atlantic Ocean. Okay, then why wouldn't they do what they do with all the other ships they have on record? Go down there and find them. Or at least have a record of them sinking. Something. Where are all the slave ships? They have 5 ships on the maritime log. I'm going to say it again. They have 5 ships on the maritime log. 5 ships. 300 years of traveling, over 14,000 estimated voyages during the slave trade, and you mean to tell me all they have on log is 5 ships? They only got 5 ships on wreck. Where are the slave ships? You got a better chance of finding a brontosaurus thigh bone. Where are the slave ships? You got a better chance of finding a T-Rex arm. Where are the slave ships? You got a better chance of finding a Triceratops horn. Where are all the slave ships? Where are the ships? They can tell you what Columbus came on. The Nina, the Pinta, and the Santa Maria. They can tell you about Columbus. And he came over to them islands in 1492. So where are all the slave ships? Columbus had 3 we can name, but we only have 5 on record for millions of people that supposedly came from another continent. Where are all the slave ships? We got caught up with Roots. We got caught up with Kunta Kinte. We got caught up with Kizzy. We got caught up with Toby. We got caught up with Massa. We got caught up with Django, but we never stopped to ask the question about where all the slave ships were. They can show you those plantations. They can show you those houses. They can show you all that, but they can't show you those ships. They can tell you when the first one came. They can tell you when the last one came. But everything else in between, they can't figure it out. Where are all the slave ships? If they had slave ships, you and I know they would have reconstructed them and had them sitting somewhere as a monument. Where are all the slave ships? They can tell you what Noah's Ark was. They can tell you where the Titanic sank. They can even find and tell you where the Viking ships are. They even have Viking ships. Where are all the slave ships? You got a better chance of finding what a mummy ate before he or she died than you do finding a slave ship. Where are the slave ships? They can tell you about all these other ships. They have found buried civilizations, but they can't find these slave ships. Thousands upon thousands of slave ships, and they only managed to put 5 on record. They only managed to record 5. They can tell you about all these other ships. They can tell you about all of these other ships from ancient civilizations, but they can't find these slave ships. Where are the slave ships? Where are they? You got a better chance of finding an ancient civilization than you do finding a slave ship. Y'all come from Africa. I got that. Y'all were brought over here on slave ships. I got that. Y'all were enslaved. I got that. Y'all worked on plantations. I got that. Y'all were slaves. I got that. My question is, where are the slave ships? What they're telling us is, everybody that came over here that looked like you and I wasn't already over here. So if that's the case, then where are the ships? They've told us that we were not originally from here. They said we came over here via slave ship. If that's the case, then where are the ships? Where are the ships? None of this is possible without the use of a ship. And less than 400,000 slaves came to this continental North America. Less than 400,000. So we got 300 years of a slave trade. We got over 14,000 voyages. We got less than 400,000 coming to North America, and you only got 5 ships on record. Now I want to question, were they spaceships? Were they spaceships? Because clearly, those numbers don't add up for slave ships. Were they spaceships? You have a better chance of finding a woolly mammoth baby than you do finding a slave ship. They just found a wolf head that was 40,000 years old, and the wolf head was fully intact. It was a complete wolf head, and it was huge too. But they found something 40,000 years old, and they can't find a slave ship a couple of 100 years old. But you all will convince me that all of those ships are at the bottom of the ocean. You mean to tell me nobody docked the ship? Nobody kept the ship? Nobody used the ship for something else? You mean to tell me every slave ship sank to the bottom? All of them. Every slave ship sank to the bottom. Nobody kept a slave ship. But yet, they can find every other ship, but they can't find those slave ships. Where are all of the thousands upon thousands upon thousands of slave ships? Where are they? I know what you all gonna say. They're at the bottom of the ocean. If they're at the bottom of the ocean, then why didn't they do like they did with the rest of the ships? Why didn't they do like they did with the rest of the ships? Discover where they are. We got 5 slave ships on record, and they'll convince you that it was 100 million slaves transported during the Middle Passage, and y'all only got 5 ships. Y'all only got 5 ships on record, but 100 million and only 5 ships, it just don't add up. I'm sorry. It just doesn't add up. Where are all of the slave ships? You have a better chance of finding a dinosaur fossil than you do finding a slave ship. And we got so caught up. We got so caught up with being a slave that we didn't stop to ask the most important question: where are all the ships? We asked them how we got here. We asked them what happened to us. We asked them what they did, but we didn't ask them to show us those slave ships. Where are all the slave ships? Where are they? You have a better chance of seeing a black Klansman than you do seeing a slave ship. And there was a black Klansman. They can show you them whips. They can show you those chains. but they can't show you those ships. And the whole story hinges upon us coming over here on a ship. Somebody had enough sense to log the first ship, and somebody had enough sense to log the last ship, but nobody had enough sense to log any of the ships in between. Where are all the slave ships? Wait for it. Free blanks. Get money. Go.